They have these beautiful cherry cabinets that they want to keep the stained look, but they have a lot of wear and tear on them. We're going to be bringing some of these doors back to our shop to refinish them. And we also went around to some areas and touched up for the doors that we didn't have to. This set here is all touched up and looks really, really good. As you can see, we have to redo the 2 sink cabinets, which are one of the most common doors to start failing, especially with farm sinks, due to water rolling off and sitting on the tops. When the water sits on there, it starts breaking through the clear coat, eventually getting into the wood, and can eventually cause the doors to start rotting. So make sure that you stay on top of those, especially the main areas, as well as the trash door. Obviously, there's a lot of things going in and out of here and gets hit and dinged all the time. So the trash door is one of the doors also that gets a lot of use. Those are the 3 doors, or those are the sections that you always want to stay on top of, as well as anything around the oven or cooking surfaces due to grease going in places. The grease from cooking and from your hands sits on the wood and starts breaking down the coatings, eventually turning into this. This is from all the years of putting your hand in, touching, grease building up, and just starting to deteriorate the top coat. Over time with cabinets, especially around the poles when your hand's going around the knob all the time, the greases come off your hands and eventually start breaking down the coatings. This is why it's extremely important to make sure to clean your cabinets. If you clean your cabinets regularly, the greases won't start breaking down the coatings. Now in this situation, since the coating's been deteriorated so bad, and now it's down to the bare wood, we're gonna have to strip this whole panel, restain it, and then repoly it. We'll see how it goes. Next step here, now that it's sanded with the 180 and masked off, is we're gonna apply the Minwax pre-stain conditioner. We're gonna brush it on, let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes, wipe off the excess, and then you got about a 2-hour window that you want to stain the door in. The pre-stain is going to help the stain go on evenly and try to help out the blotchiness of the cherry wood. So take the brush, brush it on, make sure to get it all over the door. And like I said, I'm going to finish brushing this door, and after 5 to 10 minutes, I'm going to wipe the excess off. The pre-stain is now on, and the excess is wiped off. Now I'm getting ready to apply the first coat of stain. Now, before applying the stain, you want to stir the stain, not shake it, because you don't want to introduce air bubbles into it. Once I got it stirred up enough, take my brush. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna brush on my stain all throughout this rail, and then I'm gonna let it sit for a couple minutes, and then I'm gonna wipe it off. Now that I let the stain sit a couple minutes, I'm just gonna go ahead and wipe it off, going with the grain. I'm gonna wipe all my excess off first, and then I'm gonna go back over it. Now, we're ready for a top coat. Actually, I might put one more coat on just to darken up this stain just a little bit more. Second coat was just applied. I'll let it sit for a couple minutes and then I'm gonna wipe it off. And then it should be the correct color. Second coat's wiped off. Now I'm gonna let it dry and then we can top coat it. The color is matching much better now. Once the top coat goes on, it'll darken it up a little bit more and it should blend in perfectly. All right, stain is on. We're ready for clear coat. I'm using a lacquer-based satin finish. I'm gonna put about 2 to 3, maybe 4 coats if it needs, depending on how it looks to the rest of the cabinet. You wanna try to match the same finish and build up that thickness. I'm gonna take my can, and I'm just gonna go along and start spraying stuff. When this dries, I'm gonna give it a light sand with some 600 grit, and then we'll keep adding, building up our coats. You wanna make sure everything is wet and consistent, and then you got everything, and you have no dry spots. If everything is wet and looks the same, it means you're good to go. Let it dry down, sand it, continue the process. All right, the last coat of lacquer is on this door, and it's finished. I'm gonna start pulling the masking. As you can see, we have a really, really good match to the rest of the door. Now all I have to do is take the masking off and go hang it up at the house. All right, everyone, finally completed this one. These are the doors that I've been working on for the last couple weeks restaining. It was the 2 middle sections that I stripped and redid. Now it blends in. It's the trash can door. Did all the outsides, kept the middle, and then worked on the top of these 2. Installed all new hardware. Cleaned the cabinets and went around and did touch-ups where there was any chipping.